Hello, let's start with the types of welds. In a previous video, we have started the welded connections, and in which we have seen the advantages and disadvantages of welded connections, then the types of welding joints: butt joint, lap joint, corner joint, edge joint, T joint. Up to this, we have covered in the last videos. Okay, then the important part is about the welded connection is here. Types of welds. Welds are generally of two types: butt welds and fillet welds. Okay, when the members are allowed to lap over each other, fillet welds are used. Okay, it means when we have to join two members over each other by just putting one member or another member, and that lap of one member or another member, in that case the fillet welds are used. And butt welds are used when the members to be connected are in the same plane. In the same plane means when the faces of two members are connected each other, that makes a butt weld. Okay, in first diagram, that is figure here 2.15, butt weld is shown. Here the important terms about butt weld are mentioned. First, the gap. Look at this bottom. Here gap is shown, the gap between two member joints joined by welded connection. Then root face, fusion face, weld face, all these terms are here. Then the upper curved portion makes an angle with horizontal. Here that is a coated angle. Okay, the weld face makes an angle with horizontal, that is called as coated angle. Here fusion face, throat thickness is this total thickness, vertical total thickness of the joint is called as throat thickness. Okay, then reinforcement are also shown in this diagram. Then second, figure 2.16, very important. In this, two legs are connected by fillet weld. One vertical leg, this vertical leg, and one is horizontal leg. These are joined by fillet weld, and there are important terms are here. First, weld face. Again, weld face is here. Then throat thickness. Throat thickness is a straight distance measured, that is throat thickness. Then original surface of work, total original surface of work. Toe, fusion zone, root, here root. All these terms are important in case of fillet weld. And in third diagram, a typical double V butt joint is shown, having a fusion angle of 60 degree. Okay, so these are very important theory points, types of welds. both these diagrams, butt weld and fillet weld, were asked in many times in the exam, and these theory points you have to write the meaning of butt weld, fillet weld, and draw these diagrams for this question. Then these are the some specifications of fillet weld provided for the design of welded connections. Very important specifications are given to design a weld connections. Okay, first, size of fillet weld, which is denoted by small s. The size of the normal fillet weld is taken equal to its minimum leg length. Okay, when the two members are to be connected, one is having, suppose for example, one member is having thickness 10 mm and other is 12 mm. While joining these two leg, we have to provide a fillet weld is having size of fillet weld is at least minimum leg length. Okay, that means for 10 mm, at least 10 mm fillet size of fillet weld is to be provided for the connection of that members. The size of fillet weld shall not be less than 3 mm. Okay, in any case the size of fillet weld should not be less than 3 mm, it should be greater than 3 mm. Then second, throat thickness of fillet weld, it is denoted by small t. Remember all these terms you have to be known, very well known, while designing a welded connections. So throat thickness of fillet weld denoted by small t, it is the perpendicular distance from the root of the fillet weld to the line joining its toes. Okay, here in this diagram throat thickness is shown here. This is a throat thickness, and that is a perpendicular distance from the root of the fillet weld to the line joining of its toes. It is taken equal to k into size of the fillet. Remember this small formula here. Throat thickness of fillet weld small t is equal to k into size of the fillet weld. That is again mentioned below the table here. Then what is k here? The value of k for different angles between fusion faces is given below in this table. Here almost in all cases right angles fillet welds are used, for which k is 0.7 for right angle. Okay, up to right angle k is 0.7. Just look at this table. Angle between fusion faces is given in the first row, and value of constant k for these different angles is provided in the second row. When the angle between fusion faces is between 60 degree to 90 degree, then value of constant k is 0.7, and the remaining values you can see in this table. You just look over this table and observe that when the value or the when angle between fusion faces goes on increasing, the value of constant k decreases. Okay, and the value of constant k lies between 0.7 to 0.5 for these different ranges. Then throat thickness of fillet weld T is equal to K into size of fillet weld, as we mentioned above this formula. And generally the angle lies between 60 degree to 90 degree, and that's why it is shown here 0.7 knot into S. K is 0.7 knot for angle between fusion faces 60 degree to 90 degree, and it is a most general case. It is generally the angle lies between in the first case. Then third specification is effective length of fillet weld. The effective length of a fillet weld is taken equal to its actual length minus twice the weld size. This is very important condition. What is this? The effective length of a fillet weld is taken to its actual length, that means actual length of that member minus twice the weld size, 2 into size of weld, that is S. Then fourth condition, minimum size of fillet weld. The minimum size of the first run or of a single run fillet weld shall be given in the table. This 2.7 minimum size of fillet weld. Here thickness of thicker part is shown in first column, and minimum size of the fillet weld should be provided given in the second column. Here minimum size and here thickness of thicker part up to and including 10 mm. That is thickness of thicker part, that means that much thick part we have to be weld. Then minimum size of weld is 3 mm, then over 10 mm up to and including 20 mm. Minimum size of weld is 5 mm, then over 20 mm up to including 32 mm. The minimum size of weld should be 6 mm, and third over 32 mm up to and including 50 mm, the minimum size of 10 mm. Okay, these are the minimum conditions. That means the minimum size of weld should be in this range. Okay, we can provide a higher values. Then fifth specification given is maximum size. Okay, minimum size of fillet weld we have studied. Now maximum size of fillet weld applied to a square edge of a plate of thickness above 6 mm should not exceed thickness of the edge minus 1.5 mm. Okay, then maximum size of fillet weld applied to rounded toe of rolled steel section should not exceed 3/4 of the thickness of the rounded toe. Okay, these are the some conditions you have to remember. Then sixth specification is overlap. The overlap in a lap joint should not be less than 5 times the thickness of thinner part as shown in figure. Okay, just look at these figures. Angle section, lap joint and fillet joint is given. Okay, here the maximum size. This figure A is regarding to the maximum size for first point. There is a plate thickness above 6 mm. Here this plate thickness is above 6 mm, and it should not exceed thickness of edge minus 1.5 is the minus 1.5. Okay, this is about that point. First point, maximum set, the point mentioned in fifth specification, and that this point. Okay, and the figure for the second point, that is regarding to this point, is this B figure. You can read that point again and gives the clarification about this diagram. Okay, then the next specification is side fillet. In a lap joint made by side or longitudinal fillet weld, the length of each fillet weld should not be less than the perpendicular distance between them. Okay, this is side fillet shown here. Side fillet, L is not less than D, that is total length, or length of side fillet should be greater than the thickness of that part, or in case of rounded it is greater than the diameter. Obviously D do not exceed 16 times T. This is again condition. Then end return, finally fillet welds terminating at ends or sides of parts or members should preferably return continuously and around the corners for a distance not less than twice the weld size as shown in figure. Here again, end returns not less than twice weld size. Okay, these end return means this side weld ending at this corner, that is not less than twice the weld size. Okay, these are end returns. And finally, single fillet weld. A single line of fillet weld when used should not be subjected to bending about its longitudinal axis, and for that the correct figure is first, not second. Okay, that single fillet should be like this. Okay, these are the specifications we have to remember for the design of welded connections. Okay, remember all these conditions, and then next part we will see in the next lecture. Okay, just study all these points, make your own notes, draw these all diagrams, all tables mentioned here, and keep studying. Thank you.